صلوا على بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم رسولا ونبيا. Brothers, I'm going to start off telling you guys a wacko story, right? So there was an elderly man who was under a street light in the street, and he was looking around for something. So a young person who seen this elderly person looking for something, he automatically went to the old uncle and he said, "Look, uncle, what's wrong?" So the uncle said, "I lost my gold coin, I'm looking for my gold coin." So this young man said, "Look, uncle, if you're looking for your gold coin, let me help you find your gold coin." So the young man starts to look for the old man. He crabs here, he crabs there, and then he says, "Uncle, so more or less which area did you lose your gold coin?" He says, "No, I lost it in the house." So he says, "But uncle, why are you looking here?" He says, "No, but the house is load shedding, here there's light, so that's why I'm looking here." So looking for something great in the wrong place. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu had said something amazing. Now for Muslims, you're looking for greatness, you're looking for honor. In anything besides Islam will be very much like the old man who's looking for his gold coin that he lost in the house. He's looking for it in the street, it will be very much the same. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu said, whilst he was on his way to conquer Masjid al-Aqsa, he said to his companions that we were a disgraced nation. We were a downtrodden nation. We were a nation that people didn't respect. نَحْنُ قَوْمٌ أَعَزَّنَا اللَّهُ بِهَذَا الدِّينِ. But we are a nation that Allah gave honor through this very deen. And if we search for honor in anything besides the deen, then we will only find ourselves in disgrace. So honor and prestige, honor and pride is in nothing besides the deen, because Allah has honored us with the deen. There's a very inspiring story from the past, which is documented in the books of history, that there was a young man who was called up by the king. Why was he called up by the king? Because the king at the time believed in black magic, he believed in witchcraft, and he wanted the people to worship him. So the sorcerer, the person who was the sangoma, the person who was doing the witchcraft, and the person who was doing the black magic, this person was now becoming old. So this person told the king that you need to bring me a young person, and I will teach this young person, I will mentor this young person, so that he can take my place now that I'm becoming very old. So the king searched the land and he found one intelligent, smart young boy, and he called that young boy. And he told that young boy, you go to this person who's doing black magic and witchcraft, and you learn from this person so that you will be able to live on the legacy when he passes away. So this young person was smart, and he went to this person who was teaching witchcraft. But on the way for him to learn from the person who was teaching witchcraft and black magic, he found the pious worship of Allah. And he started to connect with this worship of Allah. So on one hand, what somebody is teaching him is haram. On the other hand, what the other person is teaching him is goodness. So he used to stop by this person who used to teach deen, and he used to learn deen. But because the king was forceful in demanding that he must learn from this person who was teaching evil, he still used to go to the person who used to teach him evil. But he used to love learning from the pious person so much that he used to become so late that when he used to go to the person teaching him evil, he used to be late, and that teacher used to actually give him hiding. But he endured it and he went through it because he was enjoying the learning of deen. So he continued to learn the deen, and he continued to visit the person who was teaching witchcraft, until eventually his knowledge of deen was growing, and his connection with Allah was growing, and this person was growing in his piety. And then came a unique incident. As he was passing in the road, there was a very large animal in the road, and the people were scared to cross the road because of that animal. And people stopped what they were doing because they couldn't cross the road because of that animal. And this young boy came in front of the animal, and at this point he wanted to prove to his heart, he wanted to convince his heart that the deen which is being taught is the truth, and the evil that is being taught with witchcraft and black magic is not the truth. So he made dua to Allah, and he said, "Oh Allah, if what the pious person is teaching me is true, then oh Allah, remove this animal from the road so that the people can pass through." He made that dua to Allah. And when he made that dua to Allah, the animal just moved off the road and people could pass. Now people were astonished to see the power that Allah has given this young man through His grace and mercy, how he's able to connect with Allah. So people started to go to him for all of their illnesses. People went for leprosy, people went for blindness. And when they went to him, he made dua to Allah. He connected with Allah. And Allah Jalla Jalaluhu started to give people shifa. Eventually one person was appreciative that this person helped him through the mercy of Allah. This person collected some gifts. And he went to this young man and he gifted him and he said, I'm gifting you to show my appreciation and to thank you for curing me. And this young man corrected him. I didn't cure you. It is Allah who cured you. And that's when this person realized the truth of the deen. So now this person was closely associated to the king. This person who brought the gifts, he was closely associated to the king. So when the king was asking him about his health, he told the king he's better. And the king asked, how did you become better? And he said, I became better because Allah cured me. Now can you imagine, the king became infuriated. The king became upset because he believed himself to be a god. And he wanted people only to do black magic and sorcery and witchcraft. Now suddenly a person is attributing cure to Allah. So this person becomes very, very, very upset. And he eventually calls for the young boy. And then through the young boy, he finds out that the pious person taught the young boy. So he calls for the pious person. Now he tells the pious person, give up your deen. Are you worshipping a deity besides me? Give up your deen. And this pious person is not willing to do so. He tries to force the pious person. The pious person flatly refuses and is not willing to give up his deen. Eventually the king, the brutal way that he kills the pious person is that he saws this pious person in half. He saws him in half. But this pious person wasn't willing to give up deen. He gets sawed in half and he passes away as a martyr, earning the pleasure of Allah. Now he has to deal with the young boy. Now this young boy has become so pious. And this young boy is also not willing to worship the king. The young boy is also not willing to do black magic and sorcery. So now how does he deal with the young boy? He tells this group of people. First he tries to force the young boy to give up his deen. But this young boy is not willing to give up his deen. Then he tells the group of his men, take this boy, take him to the highest mountain in the land. And when you get to the top of that highest mountain, then throw him off that mountain. And let it teach everybody a lesson that if you worship anybody besides me, this will be your outcome. So he sent this boy. And this group of men went. And they went right to the top of the mountain. As they got to the top of the mountain, this young boy made dua to Allah. He understood the power of dua. He had conviction in dua. He was proud of his deen. He made dua to Allah. Oh Allah, save me from these people through whichever means you will. And when they made that dua to Allah, Allah caused that mountain to shake. And when that mountain shook, miraculously through the help of Allah, everybody in that mountain fell off and died, besides this young boy. Now imagine this young boy is the only survivor. He walks back to the king alone. The king is like, hey, we sent you with these people to kill you, so many people, what happened? The king now comes up with another plan. The boy says, Allah saved me. Allah saved me from your men. The king comes up with another plan. He tells another group of men, take this boy in a boat, take him to the center of the ocean. When you reach that point, throw him aboard so that he won't be able to swim to shore, and drown him and get rid of him. These men take him in a boat. As they're sailing and they reach a point where they feel they are far enough, at this point they're preparing to throw this boy off from the boat. He raises his hands and he makes dua to Allah. And he says, oh Allah, by whatever means you wish, save me from the plans of these people. And when he makes that dua, Allah causes the boat to shake. Guess what happens? What happens? All of them fall off, besides this young boy. This young boy makes his way back to the king. Yeah. Now what must the king do? The king asks, what happened? He says, Allah saved me. Then the boy says to the king, you will only be able to kill me. Teaching him an important point. Power is in the hands of Allah. Control is in the hands of Allah. Ability is in the hands of Allah. No one can do besides Allah. All power belongs to Allah. So he says to the king, this man is a king. He says to him, you'll only be able to kill me if you follow my guidelines. So the king asks, what's your guidelines? He says, you need to assemble all of the people. You need to call all of the people of the land, and they should gather at one central place. When all of the people of the land are at one central place, then you should take a bow and arrow, and you should pull that arrow back, and you should say, I kill you in the name of Allah, the Rabb of this boy. Or you should say, in the name of Allah, the Rabb of this boy. And when you say that, and you release the arrow, that's when you'll be able to kill me. So the king obliged. He just wanted to get rid of this boy, not realizing the consequence of his action. He gathered all of the people. All of the people gathered to watch what's going to happen. The boy stood there in front of everybody. The king took his bow and he took his arrow, and he said, in the name of Allah, the Lord of this boy, and he released the arrow. When he released the arrow entered into this boy's temple, and he passed away as a martyr, earning the pleasure of Allah. But what is so amazing is now 20,000 people were watching. They immediately seen what happened, and the king wanted to assert his authority and threaten them. When they had seen what happened, 20,000 of them became Muslims there and there. So what did the king do to retaliate? The king dug trenches. He filled those trenches with fire, and he threw 20,000 of them in that fire. But the important point in this entire story, as Allah says in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ, whose words can be better than that one who calls towards Allah? وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, and they call towards good deeds. But whose words can be better? Look how the verse ends. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and they say, I am from amongst the Muslims. Whose words can be better than a person who's proud of his Islam, who's proud to show that he is Muslim? Whose words can be better than that person? This young boy was proud of his Islam, and he was willing to proclaim his Islam, and he wanted to proclaim his Islam in front of more than 20,000 people in a land of disbelief. When everybody was disbelievers, he wanted to make it clear in front of the people that I am a believer. Whose words can be better than that person who says, وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, I am from amongst the Muslims, is proud to be Muslim. Ibrahim a.s. came to a society where people didn't believe. People didn't believe in Islam. People were idol worshippers. He was the minority when the majority of people weren't believing in Islam. What did he say in front of everyone? He spoke about Allah. He said, الَّذِي خَلَقَنِي فَهُوَ يَهْدِينِ, Allah is the one who created me. Allah is the one who guided me. وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ, Allah is the one who gives me to eat. Allah is the one who gives me to drink. وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ, when I am sick, Allah is the one who cures me. My point is, people of greatness were never shy to be Muslim. They were always proud to be Muslim. You know that t-shirt people wear, GAP. What does it stand for? Gay and proud. If we need to wear a t-shirt, it should be MAP. What does MAP stand for? Muslim and proud. Unapologetically Muslim. One of the pious people in the past said, I fear the day when disbelievers are proud of their faults. Imagine disbelievers living in faults. I fear the day that disbelievers are proud of their faith, while at the same time Muslims are shy of their faith. I fear the day that disbelievers are proud of their falsehood, and believers are shy of their faith. Another example, the Ashabul Kahf were young people who were proud of their deen. They stood in front of a king, and that king was such a tyrant that he was willing to pelt them to death for believing in Islam. And Allah speaks about how they stood in front of the king and what they said. وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ, when Allah made them confident and Allah tied knots on their hearts. May Allah make us confident and tie knots on our hearts to make us confident. وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ, when Allah tied a knot on their heart, making them confident. إِذْ قَامُوا, when they stood in front of the king. فَقَالُوا, Rabbuna Rabbus samawati wal ard. A king that is willing to kill you when everybody around you is disbelieving. They stand in front of the king and they proudly announce the Islam. Rabbuna Rabbus samawati wal ard. Our Lord is the Lord of the skies and the earth. Lan nad'uwa min dunihi. We will not worship anybody besides Him Jalla Jalaluhu. لَن نَدْعُوَ مِن دُونِهِ إِلَهًا لَقَدْ قُلْنَا إِذًا شَطَطًا. And even if we have to say words of disbelief, worshipping anybody besides Allah, it will be the craziest words for us to ever say, because we only worship the Lord of the skies and the earth. That was the pride they had about Islam. That's how confident they were about the Islam. And that's the confidence that teaches us the true ideals of how confident the believer should be about his Islam. Then we look at how Allah loves when a person expresses his confidence in Islam, and how Allah loves when a person shows pride about the Islam. Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us that that person who says these beautiful words, Raditu billahi rabba, I am pleased to have Allah as my Rabb, wa bil Islami deena, and I am pleased to have Islam as my deen, wa bi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Rasulun wa Nabiyya, I am pleased to have Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as my Nabi. So what's it? I am pleased to have Allah as my Rabb, to have Deen as my Islam, to have Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as my Rasul. When a person says these words in the morning and the evening, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us that in turn Allah will be pleased with that person. And Allah will please that person rather. Every time a person says, I am pleased to have Allah as my Rabb, as Deen as my Deen, and as Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as my Rasul, in turn Allah will please him. In fact, one narration says, if he says these words in the morning and the evening, then Allah will please him on the day of Qiyamah. The day when people will be worried and paranoid what's going to happen. Those who say, I am proud to be a Muslim, I am pleased to have Allah as my Rabb, Islam is my Deen, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is my Nabi. In turn, on the day of Qiyamah, when people will be worried and paranoid, Allah will please him on the day of Qiyamah. Another beautiful narration. Listen to this. Let's repeat these words. Raditu billahi rabba, wa bil Islami deena, wa bi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Rasulahu wa Nabiyya. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that that person who says that in the morning and the evening, Jannah is guaranteed for him. Now, there's an attitude of how we should be when it comes to our deen. People are proud of being atheists. People are proud of being queer. People are proud of being Christians. People are proud of being Jews. We know Allah has blessed us with the most superior gift. Allah has given us Iman. Allah has made us Muslims. We should be proud to be Muslim. And the Quran teaches us what type of an attitude we should have. Allah says to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that, O Nabi of Allah, say to the disbelievers, Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, say to the people who don't believe, La a'budu ma ta'budun, I don't worship what you worship. Wala antum abiduna ma a'bud, and you don't worship what I worship. We are different. Wala ana abidu ma abadtum, and never will I worship whatever you worshiping. So saying, I have no need to be like you. I have no need to fit in. We are different. What you worshipping, I've got nothing to do with that. And you have chosen to have nothing to do with my religion. So finally I say to you, Lakum deenukum waliya deen. You keep your religion, I will keep my religion. For you is your way, for me is my way. I am proud with Islam and I am comfortable with Islam. Why are we comfortable with Islam? Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Allah is one. Allahu samad. Allah is independent. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Allah did not give birth to anybody. Neither did anybody give birth to Allah. How beautiful and superior is our deen. The reality is this world is a world where our eyes are closed to reality. Those who are living in spaces of kufr and enjoying it and feeling superior, they are deluded. They're living in a fantasy world. But the reality is in the akhirah is the reality. When our eyes will open, the eyes of our hearts will open, everybody will see reality. And on that day, the day of Qiyamah is known as a day of regret. People will be regretting so immensely, so deeply, that believe me you, every single non-Muslim will envy your iman. In this world, perhaps sometimes you look at their lifestyle and desire it. Perhaps it might look glamorous, but this world is fake. This is a delusion. In the real world of the Akhirah, when our eyes are open, every single non-Muslim will desire to be a Muslim. So we are mapped, brothers. We are mapped. What are we?
Mapped.
What does it stand for?
Muslim.
May Allah give us the understanding.
وسنمضي جموعا